Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Womersley, the author of Bereft.
Hi Chris, congratulations on winning the Literary Fiction Book of the Year for Bereft.
Thank you very much.
We at Shearer's adored your novel of which was set in post-World War I Australia. What drew you to this particular period?
Actually, when I started writing the book, I hadn't intended to set it in post-World War I Australia, but I became quite interested in sort of apocalyptic movements and liked the idea of having characters who thought the end of the world was nigh, and the post-war period sort of fit the bill in that sense, and obviously the background of the Spanish flu epidemic and the Great War that had just happened and so forth. And it was a great sort of metaphor for the suffering of sort of families who have lost loved ones. So it just sort of clicked and came together.
Was there a great deal of research involved?
There was a little bit of research. I actually intended originally to set it in a real town and envisaged myself sitting in libraries and poring over letters and all this kind of stuff. But to be kind of honest, I couldn't be bothered. And no, that's not quite true. It's a bit flippant. It's a little bit true.
No, because it's very true to the period.
But I actually find having to cleave too much to reality quite restricting. And as soon as I sort of decided to set it in a fictional town, which is heavily based on Hill End in Western New South Wales, it just opened up all the possibilities. It meant that I could do what I wanted, basically. So, yeah, research is like seasoning, I think. Just sort of, you don't want it to be the whole sort of raison d'etre, but it adds to the overall flavour.
The conversation we're constantly having in our store is about Australian fiction and what literary fiction actually means. You actually won the Literary Fiction Award tonight.
Yeah, whatever that is.
Yeah, it's a difficult concept, isn't it? And I mean, we see Australian fiction as such an important part of what we do every day.
Yep.
Where do you envisage your work? Because I know that you've just been picked up by Quercus, which is an incredible imprint.
Yeah.
So
it's fantastic. I don't know. The literary fiction thing is a kind of a weird one. I mean, people I know who know far more about these kind of things in an academic sense think that in Australia we're more concerned with what literary fiction is than many other sort of countries. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it sort of seems perhaps reasonable. I mean, to me, kind of a work of literature as opposed to just a work of fiction, perhaps, is a book that's worth rereading as much as reading. You know what I mean? I think you can have good books that you just read once, and the resolution of the plot is pretty much the main pleasure of it. To me, a good book is one in which it bears revisiting in the sense of either the writing's especially kind of lovely, or the characterization's especially kind of interesting, the plot is interesting, and I guess everything sort of comes together in a way that makes it worth reading more than once.
And that definitely describes your book.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Chris, for talking to us tonight, and
It's my
congratulations
pleasure.
again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.